So, you know, we're talking with GTECH and Melanie and James, and you guys are all part of the Reclaim Pittsburgh movement, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's and this event tonight was a focus on reclaiming southern neighborhood lots, right? Well, actually, you'd probably tell a better story than I can because you do it for a living.
Yeah, so tonight we're here to represent the Reclaim South program, which is a neighborhood scale initiative that's hosted by GTECH Strategies. And we take a set of neighborhoods in the city and we recruit residents in those neighborhoods to empower them through educational classes on site access, to volunteer recruitment and management, to site design, and overall project management skills. And the medium we use to really create this community capacity and change in the neighborhoods is vacant land. So GTECH really focuses on converting wasted resources into valuable community assets. So things that are naturally overlooked, we turn them into community entities and anchors that people can really rally around and just overall improve the health of communities.
And Melanie here is one of your ambassadors.
She is, yes. Yes, one of our Reclaim South ambassadors, one of 13, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's her role? Well, actually, Melanie, why don't you just tell us what your role is?
Sure. I am the ambassador for Mount Washington, the neighborhood of Mount Washington. So I came to GTECH looking to do some great work in my neighborhood, found this program. Started in October. Ever since then, we've been working with them on different things, whether it be site design, just simply picking your site, where to go for donations, etc. So I actually landed on revitalizing sort of a parklet in Mount Washington. A big initiative that's going on neighborhood-wide is the Emerald View Trail. So over the next couple of years, we're going to be really forging ahead with that trail. And one of the things that's lacking a little bit is the entranceways into the parks are about a little dilapidated, overgrown, just not really that pretty, so really diving in.
And the Emerald View Trail is awesome. I take my little Boston Terrier, and we run all over it 3 or 4 times a week.
It's fantastic.
So you guys are essentially just cutting huge swaths of paths through the hillside of Mount Washington, right?
Right. And Mount Washington CDC, Mount Washington Community Development Corporation, they have a great trail crew that works about 9 months out of the year, and their job every day, day in and day out, is literally just to forge trails, to trailblaze throughout Mount Washington, in, around, and down. And something that's really cool about the Emerald View Park Trail is the end goal being not only 20 miles of connected pathway throughout the neighborhood, but also to have a pathway leading to downtown to give commuters, cyclists, hikers that easy access for that walk.
So from the top of the hill
all the way down to the bottom.
And right now, I think you mentioned in your talk, there's like 10 miles of trails up there?
There's about 10 miles of fragmented trail, so here and there. They're still working on there. Some bigger places that need some serious excavation, that they'll need some bigger tools, things like that, so they're still working out those things, but yeah.
So essentially you guys got together with GTECH, and now you're coming up with plans to increase access to these areas.
So Mount Washington CDC is working on the trail, and then as a community member, I noticed that one of the parklets that leads to the trail, where you can park and actually head onto the trail, was just, you couldn't see it, it was overgrown, it was nasty, there was nowhere to park. So I approached MWCDC at the same time that I approached GTECH, and we sort of joined forces there.
Cool. So what's GTECH's role in sort of this at this point then?
So, I mean, you both are great examples of the purpose of projects like this. GTECH is really interested in building capacity and improving the health of communities around at the intersection of people and place. So we really want to create viable public places that people feel comfortable in, that people can relate to, that people enjoy using. And that's the point of a lot of these projects, is to create spaces that people really rally around and can come together at. So GTECH, we help with, we're the fiscal host for this. We have
so what's that mean?
We've gotten money through the Pittsburgh Foundation and another anonymous foundation to launch the program. So every ambassador is given a $1,000 stipend to participate in the project. And then they're given a $3,000 project stipend to go towards materials, labor, plants, fencing, boulders, landscaping, stone, I mean, you name it.
So the first $1,000 is kind of like architectural drawings?
The first $1,000 is just to the ambassador for them to participate in the program.
Cool.
So it's a little incentive to keep them coming back. I mean, we have ambassadors come to us all the time and are just, They don't care about the
Sure.
stipend. They just want it for the experience. And, a lot of these people and all the ambassadors want to do really great things in their community. But they are provided a stipend and a few extra resources to take some external educational classes to continue some type of professional development as well. So they can explore, if an ambassador is interested in stormwater, they can go take a class on rain barrels. And it maybe doesn't directly relate to their project, but they can take that knowledge back to their community and really foster and incubate it and spread it to their.
So it's really about giving ownership to somebody in the community to really take the lead and make their space or physical
Correct.
place better.
And a physical space that everybody in the
Right,
community
it's a
can
shared
enjoy.
resource, right?
Correct.
So where are you now? Like what's next? What are the next? What are your needs? What are your next
And
steps?
just to sort of build off of what James was saying, GTECH does grant us from their various foundations $3,000 to implement our project, which has been crucial for us. When I was speaking with NWCDC about doing this project, they were thrilled because all of their efforts have been going into, the one trailhead was done, the one entryway was done, but this one, they were sort of, searching for resources to sort of uplift that entryway. So they were more than happy, so grateful to have those resources. So just to build off that it has been very welcome by the community. And then where we are now is we're actually sort of in the middle of our project. The trail crew has been doing a lot of excavation. On April 19th, we were joined by 40 CMU students who did a fantastic job. They came, all hands on deck. They, uprooted some nasty vines. They were able to get rid of a really nasty rotting fence. They were able to do a lot in a short amount of time. Then we got some help from DPW to remove all of that, and the next stage is we'll be doing a big planting day with a lot of people from the community. It'll be a really fun day to really highlight the park, do some pretty planting, all the, the polishing of the park, if you will.
So what sort of resources do you still need?
So right now we're looking at the trail crew is still working on excavation. We're really looking for community members to join us on June 14th. I think that's the biggest thing. We're always looking for food donations as well. As fun as it is to volunteer, it is tiring. And we're big fans of pizza, so we are looking for donations.
So you're offering an exercise program.
Oh, yes,
Right.
exactly. Yes, exactly. So a lot of great stuff like that.
Great. Cool. Well, this is exciting. I can't wait to run little Rufus all the way up the trail to the other exit and then back down.
Perfect. That's what, and hopefully, 20 miles. You can go all around. It's a good workout for both.
You'll probably make it. I don't think I will. Great. Okay, cool. So I think we're going to have some other people come down and kind of tell their stories. Is that right?
I think so. I think we can grab, I don't know if anyone's still outside or.
Yes, and I was very nervous this evening.
Why were you nervous?
Because I didn't, I don't speak in front of you.
You don't seem shy.
Oh, I am. I know, people say that all the time, and then they get surprised that
So what are you working on?
I'm working on my community garden.
Okay.
It's called 3032 Grape Street Community Garden.
That's awesome. Where's that?
It is right behind the Knoxville branch of the Carnegie Library.
Where's Knoxville?
Knoxville is on the hilltop, on the south of Pittsburgh.
Oh my.
Yes.
I know that.
Right
but our
above
audience
the
may not.
south side. Take 18th Street up to
Cool.
to Brunswick.
So there's all kinds of little neighborhoods up here that nobody knows about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to kind of just talk about this stuff. So
Right.
how did you decide that you wanted to be a GTECH ambassador?
Oh, that's a very interesting question.
That is, right?
Did you hear my little thing up there?
I did,
Okay.
yeah.
So I bought the side lots beside my father's house. My father was aging and dying and living in this house. And the reason Knoxville is what it is today is because all the kids moved away from home. And when their parents died, they let the house go to pot and then they sold it for nothing and abandoned the neighborhood. So I came back to Pittsburgh to help take care of my father. And the two homes that were next to my father's house were abandoned. They were in disarray, so the city came in and knocked them down. They were condemned. And then they knocked them down, and this big empty lot became a open market for drugs, right next to my father's house. And I just got mad. I mean, I did get scared. I have to admit, I got scared, and I had a million people telling me I need to move out of the neighborhood, and I refused to move out of the neighborhood. And I just decided I was going to be the crazy woman in the neighborhood that no one was going to bother, and I bought the lot. And then
So did you get a lot of cats also when you bought the lot? Like if you were going to be the crazy one in the neighborhood?
No, I didn't. But I had one that I loved. It was my baby.
This is it's a crazy cat lady, I thought maybe.
No, I just wanted to be the crazy. I just wanted to be the crazy lady in the neighborhood. So I bought the lots and then mowed the property and kept it nice so that the drug dealers were right out in the open.
Sure.
Okay? Now, the crazy part about the city is that you don't actually buy it. You put money down on it, and then you're just a renter until they clear the titles.
Yeah.
So you can't put fences up. So now it was a cleared lot with I passed through to the library, which I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. People,
Sure.
just go right to the library. So that happened for 2 years because the title got lost. You know how the city is.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it got lost, and it went on for 2 years, and I kept maintaining it. And I was paying like $150 a month to keep that lot. And it's on my
Insurance.
insurance,
Yeah.
and I don't own it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, okay, you're getting kind of dumb here. But so I proceeded with that, and then I joined the Hilltop Alliance, and I was working with Aaron, who's a part of the Hilltop Alliance, and I was discussing this garden. He said, hey, there's a project, and it's called GTECH, and there's an application, and I think the deadline's coming up, and I filled out that application, and then Elaine called me. I don't know what that project. It was fast. That process was really fast. I think I applied in September and got a call from maybe August and got a call in September, and we started in October.
GTECH is on the ball.
GTECH is on the ball, and I was not, because I think it was advertised for quite a while, right?
I think a few months.
Okay, so, and I find out the week it's closed.
But we're glad you did.
But anyhow, so I got really excited about doing this, but how I got Aaron to tell me about it was we were talking in the Alliance meeting about how I bought this property, and I wanted to work with the library because they had some raised beds right behind the library. I don't know if you've been back there. And I thought, I was sitting on, I'm a political person, and I was sitting there looking at the empty lot and looking at their things, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do with the lot. I mean, I could have just put the fence up, and it could have just,
Vacant.
it would have just been my big backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, I just would have had more land, right? And I was like, that's not right.
Yeah.
And I suffered over this chain link fence, and all the way up until just a few weeks ago, talking to Elaine, and I was like, that chain link fence is not looking good to me with the garden. So we went with the picket fence, and I decided, okay, the library does need parking, and when people come to visit the garden, they need to be able to park. So I'm going to provide garden space. It's a big lot, 2 houses are in it. So there's enough space.
Well, that's awesome. So you're still going to retain ownership of the lot, but you're going to give it freely to the community.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
And probably, if I ever move,
Yeah.
I can't sell that property. Like, I can't give that property to the library to use.
Okay.
Because the reason they have the side lot sale is, not because they care about us residents in our they want the taxes.
Yeah.
It's a tax base.
So
So if I sell my property, it's 2 different spots, and I think I have to pay taxes for 5 years, 5 or 10 years.
You're like the giant
Yeah.
nonprofit that's not a corporation that is not on, but on the hilltop.
It's not a 503BC or whatever it's called, right? So I think what will happen is if I ever leave the neighborhood, and that won't be happening anytime soon,
Yeah.
but I would probably rent the property to the library.
Yeah, for
so that they
some
could continue
nominal-
using it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for nothing really, but
Yeah.
they would take over the insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not paying for insurance if I'm not there.
Yeah. No.
So that would be what the future is way down the line.
So where are you now in process? I saw
My
pretty pictures.
first work day
Yeah.
was on May 17th.
And so you're calling everyone from Knoxville, May 17th to come help.
It's really it's some of the people from the library and the Voices of Violence. And I'll tell you
Those
what,
guys are awesome.
they're everywhere.
They are everywhere and pervasive. I met with Jamil probably 2 weeks ago just to kind of get a
And that's
feel for
because
what they do.
we have far too many youth with nothing to do.
Yeah.
Right? And that was one of the reasons for to try to do something with that lot. When I grew up in the neighborhood, you're not half as old as me, but we used to have a lot of community things that we could do. We ran the streets like all the other kids, but there were parents who watched us, so we couldn't do anything wrong, right?
Yeah.
We had dances at John had mentioned about the church. We had dances at the St. Denis Catholic Church on Friday nights. We had skating on Saturday nights. We had the library. But we had things to do. These kids have nothing to do, and then we wonder why they're in trouble.
Yeah, because they're
You know,
making
idle
their
minds,
own
idle
entertainment.
hands, you're in trouble,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I'm hoping that the library and the garden will at least trigger some glimmer of hope or something with the kids. We're not going to reach all of them. Some of them are too far gone, but if we can save 1 or 2 in the neighborhood, and then we can save their brothers and sisters, and they actually get something out of it, we've done our job.
Well,
We
and
can
you-
only save who we can save.
And you're
we
kind
want
of,
to be saved.
and you're definitely shaped by what you're surrounded by, right? So if you're
Right.
surrounded by blight and
Right.
horribleness, then that's easy to become
Right.
that, right? So if you provide something else, maybe that'll inspire someone to sit down and reflect.
Well, I grew up in St. Clair Village, if you knew what St. Clair Village
I did.
was.
I used to
public
live right
housing.
next to it.
Oh, okay. So I grew up there well, until 4th grade, and then we moved to the house where I am now. I was white trash outside of the Hilltop, right? I mean, anybody who came from St. Clair Village, really, there was no future, no hope, even back in the day.
Yeah.
I went to Oregon to college. I graduated from college, I joined the Peace Corps. I got out of the Peace Corps, I worked in Washington, D.C. I went to Carnegie Mellon and got a master's degree. This wasn't supposed to happen to somebody. So I think by me staying there and talking to these kids and say, really, you can do anything you want. Doesn't matter where you grew up. It's what you want to do. That's what I hope to do, to be able to talk to these kids while I'm working. They see me living in the neighborhood. I don't have to live in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I have a job. I'm gainfully employed. I recently lost my husband, so I'm newly single. I don't have to live there. I can go anywhere I want, and I choose to stay there. It's hard, because people will tell me all the time, you need to get out of the neighborhood. You really need to get out of that neighborhood. People have been robbed all around me, and I have never been robbed. Knock on wood, but my neighbor was robbed 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the neighbor beside him was robbed, and they didn't come to my house. But I don't keep anything in my house, so they probably looked in the window and said, oh, not worth it. But then, what do I need other than the television and the...
Yeah, right. Well, it's important for people to take ownership, and there's a bazillion ways to do that, and it's just awesome that you're taking the time to make a statement.
So I'm serious about, I left, I came back, and I'm staying. I'm not leaving. It's going to be hard for me to leave. I think we're all doing really good work up there. I think people care. I think that if there is a failure, that will only be a blip, because nothing is ever successful from step one to the end, right? You're going to have people who need to drop out.
Tell us about it.
Right.
We know all about that.
Yeah, you know, right? I mean, I almost stopped. My husband died in December. I was in the middle of the program, and I don't really feel like doing it, right? But that's what my husband wanted. My husband was so proud of the fact that I was doing this and that I cared about the neighborhood. So I have to go on, and things will happen in people's lives, and they need to fall by. But I think we have a good group, and we'll step in and help.
Yeah, James, are all your ambassadors this spunky?
Yes, but Linda is a fantastic example of what we look for when we're recruiting ambassadors. She is dedicated, she's passionate, and she loves her community, and she's active in her community prior to GTECH even arriving on the scene. And that's what makes the textbook classic perfect ambassador, who will make sure that their project is sustained long after this program wraps up. And that's really the point of GTECH and Reclaim South, is to find individuals like Linda who are able to we're able to give them that additional layer of support that they may need.